Every family has secrets. Some just call them loyalty. Why does saying no feel like such a massive betrayal? I'm serious. Why does setting a boundary for something as small as not answering a text when you're tired or deciding to skip a family dinner feel like you just started a fire in the middle of the living room? It's because in a family with secrets, boundaries weren't just rude, they were seen as a threat to the family survival. Now, we've talked about that radar you have, and we've talked about how you became the peacemaker. Now, we're talking about the final frontier of the keeper, boundaries. We're going to look at why you were taught that having a wall was the same thing as being mean or cold. In a lot of our houses, loyalty didn't actually mean love. It meant unlimited access. It meant you had to be available for everybody's needs 24/7. No questions asked. If you tried to have a preference of your own or a secret of your own or a no of your own, they labeled you. Suddenly you were the difficult one. You were selfish. You were disloyal. So you learned early on that to belong, you had to have no walls. You learned that having a boundary meant losing your place in the family circle. This is why, as an adult, you feel this deep, irrational guilt for just wanting to be left alone. You think you're being heartless, but you aren't. You are finally trying to define where you end and where they begin. You're trying to find the skin you actually live in instead of just living as an extension of everyone else's drama. Setting a boundary today isn't you being difficult. It's you reclaiming your privacy over that enforced silence you grew up with. See, silence, remember, was something done to you, but privacy is something you choose for yourself. You are allowed to have parts of your life that aren't for sale. You are allowed to say, I can't carry that for you without offering a 3-paragraph apology or a list of 15 million excuses. Remember this, you aren't violating a family rule. You are escaping a cage. Now here's the part that's going to hurt. The people who get the angriest at your boundaries are usually the ones who benefited the most from you having none. When you spend your entire life acting as a pillar, the people leaning on you are going to complain when you decide to move. Move anyway. Your stability was never meant to be their floor. You are allowed to be a person who says no and still be a person who is worthy of love. Those two aren't mutually exclusive. That guilt you're feeling in the pit of your stomach when you say no, that isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's actually the sound of an old broken system losing its grip on you. You were taught that a boundary was an act of war, but in reality, a boundary is an act of self-preservation. It's the very first step in deciding that your peace is worth more than their comfort. You're finally rewriting the laws of your own life. Here's your affirmation. I want you to do something with me now. Adjust how you're sitting. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. I want you to realize that you occupy this space. You have every right to protect your space. And say this with me. A boundary is not a wall to keep people out. It is a gate to keep my peace in. I'm allowed to have limits. My no is just as holy and as necessary as my yes. I am no longer the pillar that holds everyone's weight at the cost of my own structure. I am allowed to be unreachable. How'd that feel? This is Family Secrets. You've been the person everyone calls when they need a fix. But tonight, I want you to be the person you call when you need a break. Before we end this, I want you to think about one no you've been hovering over, one phone call you don't want to take, or one favor you don't want to do. If you said no to that right now, what would you do with the energy you just saved? What would you do with that extra hour of peace? Keep that answer in your pocket. I'll see you in the next conversation.